Welcome to this week's podcast. I'm Tim Weigel. I'm the Grape and Hops IPM Specialist with the New York State IPM program and also the team leader with the Lake Erie Regional Grape program. And today is the 23rd of April, 2019, and one of the questions that we're getting a lot is, do we know when bud break is going to be? Well, Dan Sprague and Ted Taft here at the lab go out on a regular basis this time of year and look at the buds, and they have a phenological scale which they can rate and put numbers on where the buds are, and they went out last week and looked at them and they were at a 1, and they went out today and looked at them and I was talking to them and it's at a 2.5, which means they really haven't moved much. So we have this Lake Erie, pretty close to where we're at here at Clairol, and there's been ice on the lake for quite a while. There's still some ice in the Niagara River, the reports are. So lake temperature is still 32 degrees. You can tell that it's cool by the lake as you move away from the lake, go up over the escarpment. On warm days, it gets warmer once you get over the escarpment. So the lake is still having a huge effect. We're not seeing where the buds are really moving along. Not necessarily a bad thing. This time of year, typical bud break, like the 5th of May. So we still have a while before we get to what the average bud break is. We don't want to break buds too early, especially with the weather forecast we have. It doesn't look like it's going to be really warm and sunny and move things through. Still, we don't want to get, the buds out there and then get a killing frost. So it's not bad. We're moving slowly, with the exception of we did get moving. So we're at that doe skin, not quite bud swell stage. And when we get to the doe skin stage and the buds are just starting to swell a little bit, they're plumping up. If they stay in that stage, we're at risk of damage from steely beetle or grape flea beetle. And what they do is they'll come out. They're a secondary pest. We rarely spray for them. We really never see them, or rarely see them, at levels where they need an insecticide application. But this is the type of year where we can see some damage from them, because they like to come out, and once those buds start to get a little plump and swell up a little bit, they'll go in and they'll bore directly into the bud, and they can take out the primary, secondary, and the tertiary bud. I saw one year where it was really severe. The first 6 rows next to the wooded edge looked like it had been frosted out, and it was actually that steely beetle adults. They overwinter in the adult stage. The adults came out and were feeding on the buds and basically hollowed them out, and there was nothing there but adventitious buds to grow. So if you've had problems with flea beetle in the past, or you have some brushy areas next to a vineyard, it might be a good time to go out and check those areas just to see if the flea beetle are starting to come in and feed. As we move a little bit further along and we start to see some green tissue there, we start to get into the 1-inch shoot growth, then we're going to have to worry about climbing cutworm if things don't progress quickly, if they kind of stay like it is now and we're just getting a little bit of growth along the way. So climbing cutworm actually like to come up at night. They'll feed and they basically just clip off the shoot, and so you've lost that shoot and the clusters that are attached to it. So they'll go down. They like to hide in the ground cover underneath the vines during the day and then come back out at night and feed again. And they're usually a problem between 1 and 3 inches of shoot growth. There can be a real problem on sandy soils, especially sandy soils where there's a lot of weed cover underneath the rows, because that means they just have to go down to the base of the vine and they have cover for the day, and then they can shoot right back up the trunk and get to feeding again when nightfall comes. So things are slow right now, not necessarily bad, but we do need to watch out for both steely beetle and, here in another week or so, climbing cutworm. So if you have any questions about today's podcast, or you have suggestions for future podcasts, please put them in the comment sections below.